Okay, now we're doing the real cut. 1, 2, 3.
Alright, I'm not very good. I'm not very sharp.
I am the daughter of a mother with a 7th grade education. I am from a broken community where kids sell drugs and neighbors don't know your name. From early on, I received messages that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't smart enough. My grandmother would say, "Esa muchacha no van a hacer nada." Those girls will never amount to nothing. My flat face, button nose made me a nobody. In college, I sat in all white spaces, invisible. Bodies like mine were filling quotas. Today, this very moment, bodies like mine are paving the way. Despite the messages that diminish my experiences, I am present. I am present to listen deeply. I am present to hold students closely. I am present to laugh and play, to go to your events, to sit and reflect. I am tethered to the centers, not the center in the middle of the street or down the block. The centers right here on our campus. The Center for Diversity and Inclusion, the center in our spaces here, and the Black Cultural Center. I am here. I am present. The centers are places where all students are welcomed. It's a safe space for all. The center is where we all find community. I am Yolany Gonell. I am the inaugural director for the Center for Diversity and Inclusion, and I am William Paterson.
I am a revolutionary, and every individual and movement which preceded my existence which aligns with my values. I am an innovator. Some may mock my style and methods, and others may call it crazy, but they huddle on the sidelines, conjuring ways to mimic me every single time. I'm an educator. I strive to help everyone achieve mental emancipation through education. I dedicate my time to be a lifelong learner to leave a timeless legacy. I am a woman. No man has ever moved forward without looking back at me. No one has ever talked down on me without looking up to me. I am the future because I've learned from my past. And every time you see me, you get that deja vu feeling because I am Mafan Nasiet. I am everything you all have ever dreamed of. I am William Paterson.
I am more than just a Latino man, a part of a low-income neighborhood, an introvert. I am more than just my mental health diagnosis. That doesn't define me. I am more than just my tattoos and facial piercings, more than a first-generation college student, more than just a little too hyper, more than the discrimination I faced. I am not invisible. I want to be seen and heard. I deserve to be noticed. The judgment I face and the ridicule I have gone through doesn't define me. I can't fit into a box that wasn't just made for me. I defined my future. I defined who I want to be. I am Caden, and I am William Paterson.
I am more than just a curvy woman, more than just another college student who refuses to fall into another stereotype and refuse to act how a woman should. Gender stereotypes don't exist. Gender exists in the heart, not in the mind. Gender norms were created to box people in. I don't live in a box. I live in a world of color with shades we can't see. I am more than just my extroverted tendencies. I have a voice louder than others. I am not afraid to speak through my heart. I refuse to sit back comfortably in a world of ignorance. I refuse to act like a proper woman. Society is conceived to take away our individuality, our uniqueness, and I won't let it take mine. We are just puppets in the social game, a number to our government, another statistic, another woman who faces oppression. I am over it. I am enraged. I am not comfortable. I am Claudia, and I am William Paterson.
I am William Paterson University. I am the student body who protested back in 2017. Yes, I am WP. I am the architect to unity in which we speak. I am William Paterson in its entirety. I take pride inside because my peers range from ethics of all variety. I am WPUNJ off exit 155P on the Garden State Parkway. I am the men who pursue scholarly opportunities. I am the women who embrace their femininity. I am the faculty and staff who's got my back up, and I am the authority when the system starts to act up. I am Willie P. From community service and major events to pursuing a purpose and going legit. This liberal college, like it or not, is my home. We are William Paterson. We are Willie P's own. My family goes from AWS to poli-sci. BSU, Sable, BSFA, Ebony, Black Lives. So I wave my VI flag on Calypso tides. Here's my Willie P. Here's my pioneer pride. I am Nasir Jones, and I am William Paterson.
Soy Puertorriqueña, from the streets of Newark. I am a first-generation college student. I am a powerful and phenomenal Latina. I am the voice of every silenced woman. I am greater than my generational trauma. I am greater than my mistakes. I am stronger than I believe. I am a survivor. I am a leader. I am an activist. I fight for what I believe in. I fight for those who cannot. I am not a weak woman. I am strong. I am worthy of receiving love. I am beautiful. I am enough. I am releasing and healing from my past. I am a flower that continues to grow and stand tall. I am a butterfly that continues to break free from my cocoon. I am Denise Virginia Gonzalez. I am William Paterson.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. As you know, my name is Yolany Gonell. I serve as the new inaugural director for our 2 centers that we are responding to and coming in as a collective community. Part of what we are going to do today is something very different, all right? And so I'm going to talk to you about a call for a response, a call for unity, right? So here's how it sounds. When I say, who's here, you will say, I'm here. Okay, so let's try. Who's here?
I'm here.
Who's here?
I'm here.
When I say who, you say I am. Who?
I am.
Who?
I am.
And when I ask where, you say William Paterson. Okay? Where?
William Paterson.
Where?
William Paterson.
Who's here?
I am.
Who's here?
I am.
Who?
I am.
Who?
I am.
Where?
William Paterson.
Where?
William Paterson.
Who's here?
I am.
Who's here?
I am.
Who?
I am.
Who?
I am.
Where?
William Paterson.
Where?
William Paterson.
Who?
I am.
Who?
I am.
Who?
I am.
Where?
William Paterson.
Where?
William Paterson.
That's right. We are on here at William Paterson, and I don't need a mic, right? We are excited. Feel the energy in this space, right? Part of what we want to do is to first respond to our students, and I want to say to you that we hear you. I want to respond to our faculty and staff, and also say to you that we heard you. And for all our guests and our friends and families who are sitting in this space with us, thank you, because we also heard you today. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Richard Helldobler, our president. Since taking office just over a year ago, President Helldobler has made it a priority to focus on diversity and inclusion including working with members of the William Paterson community to create these two new centers. President Helldobler has a particularly strong understanding of our students. Not only is he a graduate of a public university, but he is also a first-generation student, but he is also a first-generation student of immigrant parents, like many of our students here. His personal experience informs his commitment to serving students for whom education is a means for social mobility and economic progress. Building on the establishment of the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and the Black Culture Center, President Helldobler's focus this year is on diversity and inclusion for Latinx and LGBTQA students. He is challenging the entire university community to rethink the systems that create barriers for underrepresented populations in higher education, making William Paterson an institution of choice for students who are changing the social fabric of our state, region, and the country. We appreciate his taking the time to be with us today. Please join me in welcoming President Richard Helldobler to the stage.
Thank you, Yolany. I am President Helldobler, gay man, first-generation student. Immigrant, and I am William Paterson. So thank you all for being here today to formally launch the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and the Black Cultural Center. Two important steps forward in the history of William Paterson University, and most importantly, in the lives of our students. I'm particularly thrilled to be here on this occasion because it has been clear to me that William Paterson students deserve places like these from a time that I first set foot on campus. At the time I was a candidate for the job that I now have the privilege to hold, I could see that so many people across campus were doing great work on the issues of diversity and inclusion. And it became even more clear to me in the 14 months since I took office. However, it is also apparent that without centers like these to coordinate and focus our efforts, we are not going to progress as far or as quickly as we need to when it comes to creating a welcoming, supportive, and inclusive university for everyone. So one of my first steps as president was to charge the Vice President of Student Development, Miki Cammarata, with leading campus discussions around the formation of some sort of multicultural center. I knew that it needed to be a force on campus for supporting diverse groups of underrepresented students and their journey toward a college degree. Beyond that, its shape would have to be determined largely by people who it's meant to serve. That process, that conversation, was a necessarily complex one, involving students, faculty, and staff. Vice President Cammarata and Associate Dean Jane Fuller-Stanley led a 19-member committee with representatives across campus. That group, in turn, reached out to the entire university community, engaged directly with hundreds of us to craft the proposal that ultimately led us here today. I want to thank Miki and Jean and everyone who served on the committee, who worked with it, for all of their hard work and all of your conversations. Thank you all. Let's give them a round of applause. And that process led us to another fortunate thing, which is, or person, I should say. Yolany is the director for the Center for Diversity and Inclusion with supervision of the Black Cultural Center. In her short time on campus, she has impressed everyone with her energy, passion for the work to be done, not to mention her performance skills. Thank you so much for being with us. But we're here, of course, to celebrate all of that good work, and celebrate we should, because in doing so, we recognize the people behind it and make a statement as a community that these places matter. The center's missions matter. The students they serve matter. I urge you not to think of this opening as a culmination of our efforts so far. Let's look at this instead as a point at which all of our good preliminary work gets to be put into action. Just as getting admitted to William Paterson is not the end. Walking across that stage at graduation, having me hand you your diploma, and then going out and making a difference in the world is. Too often, organizations launch initiatives like these with the best of intentions, only to see them fail to live up to the promises made at the ribbon-cutting ceremonies, just like this one. They fall short when the opening of the center is seen as a fulfillment of the work, a box that can be checked so that folks can move on to the next task. Here at William Paterson, we know that this is just a beginning of a lot more important work through innovative programming, meaningful resources, stimulating lectures, and vibrant gatherings. The beginning of a new system that will improve our efforts to expand diversity and inclusion and better understand and celebrate Black culture. In the end, the success of these centers will be judged by what happens in them. Do the students feel safe and welcomed here? Do they feel that their identities are affirmed and valued? And broader success will be measured by what happens beyond these walls. As the students that they serve, what they take, what they've learned and experienced here into the residence halls, into the classrooms, and ultimately out into the world as graduates of William Paterson. From the center outward, that's how we create a more inclusive community. As a university, it is our job to prepare our students to be successful in an increasingly diverse world. Diversity is one of our core values. It says so right in our mission statement, which reads in part, quote, "We value and promote the expressions of all aspects of diversity. We maintain a campus culture that welcomes diversity of personal circumstances and experiences and prepares students to become effective citizens in an increasingly diverse, interdependent, and pluralistic society." And that is absolutely true. I think everyone here would agree with that. But to make real progress toward making every person of every race, culture, ethnicity, gender identity and expression, religion, sexual orientation, and ability feel welcomed, included, valued, and empowered, we have to go further. So we want to focus on that last idea in the statement, pluralism. Specifically, I want to conclude by sharing with you a few thoughts from Diana Eck, who leads the Pluralism Project at Harvard University. Eck says that, quote, "Pluralism is not about diversity alone, but the energetic engagement with diversity." So think of pluralism as diversity on steroids. She says also that pluralism is not just tolerance, but the active seeking of understanding across the lines of difference. The active seeking of understanding. That's really what we're about as a university. The active seeking of understanding. And to the students in the room who advocated for these centers, who brought these issues to the forefront, you should be congratulated and cheered and hailed. But as a community, I think we need to take a moment to celebrate the fact that we were able to do it in a professional, civil, inclusive manner. Not always easy, not always simple, not always aligned, but we got there. And that says something about who we are at William Paterson. Again, I thank you for being here. I would now like to introduce the Black Student Union President, Chance Smith, to talk a little bit about the importance of the Black Cultural Center. Chance.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chance Smith. I'm a junior and executive chairman of the Black Student Union. My major is art, animation, multimedia, and I have a minor in Africana World Studies. I'm honored to speak at today's ribbon cutting ceremony for the Black Cultural Center and the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. Thank you, Yolany, Gonell, and Miki Cammarata for the invitation. I came to William Paterson in 2017 as a freshman, eager to be involved in campus life, and that path led me to BSU. I was then thrown into social justice when the Black History Month celebration was in danger of being cut short. So the Black community on campus had to come together. That is when the seeds of reform were sown. At the end of that year, another incident occurred when a young woman used a racial slur, and the response from the William Paterson administration was apathetic towards the Black community. At this town hall, 5 demands were given to the current administration, which included the hiring of Black psychologists, a living and learning community in one of the current residence halls, diversity training for faculty, staff, administration, as well as students, and an office for multicultural affairs that will soon become the Black Cultural Center and the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. These demands set the tone for the following year. Now, work had to be done. In this next year, Brittany Anderson, the previous president of Sisters for Awareness, Black Leadership and Equality, and treasurer for the Black Student Union, alongside Zhada Stamps, the previous executive chairwoman of the Black Student Union, worked long and hard to make sure these demands were met. While some parts of the demands are still in works, we still have made it here. There's a new Black women psychologist that was hired. Faculty, staff, and administration did attend diversity training. Students will have a diversity portion of their willpower course. Administration has assured us that they will not exclude Black culture at campus events, and we are currently at the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Center of Diversity and Inclusion, along with the Black Cultural Center. We have made it so far, but it would be foolish of us not to remember what got us here. The attempt to shorten Black History Month got us here. A student using a racial slur in a video got us here. Someone putting up "it's okay to be white" signs got us here. To the newly established Center for Diversity and Inclusion and the Black Cultural Center. Now you may ask me where I see things going from here, and I can tell you I see expansion, a formal name change, and numerous events. But I plan on graduating in 2 years. And while I will do everything in my power to use this space effectively and grow this space, it is not up to me what happens in the long run. It is up to every student, especially freshman and sophomore here, to let us know what they want. I encourage you all to practice Sankofa, which is a word in the Twi language of Ghana, and it means go back and get it. I encourage you all to go back and get it. I encourage you all to look back and see what we have helped create and how we have created this, so that in the future you can grow and expand with the foundation that we have left for you. As this space grows, let your imagination run wild. The sky is never the limit because there are stars far past that. I want to leave on this quote by Bayard Rustin, civil rights leader and activist. We need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers. Let us all be angelic troublemakers for social justice reform on this campus and beyond. Please help me welcome our Student Government Association President, Dena Janos.
I'm a lot shorter. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the warm introduction. My name is Dena Janos, and I am the president of the Student Government Association here at William Paterson. I am delighted to be here to represent the student body at large and to reaffirm SGA's commitment to support institutional goals for diversity and inclusion through continuous support of all cultural organizations that make our campus stronger, a stronger community where we are all valued. This is an incredible moment for the university. We must recognize and acknowledge that the changes we are seeing here today are a result of students working together for change. As a result, the Black Cultural Center and the Center for Diversity and Inclusion will be 2 new locations where we can come together and learn more about our responsibility to one another and further our communication and commitment to inclusion. It is my honor and pleasure to be your SGA president, and I welcome Ms. Yolany Gonell to our William Paterson family. I look forward to seeing how the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and the Black Cultural Center flourish under her leadership. It is my pleasure to direct your attention to the screen for the remarks from William Paterson alum, Brittany Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany Anderson, and I am a recent Black female graduate of William Paterson University with a Bachelor's of Science in Exercise Science with a concentration of exercise physiology. That is a mouthful, but I love to say it because there's people that didn't think I would make it. Okay. And for those who do know me, shalom. I know y'all miss hearing that around campus, so one time for the one time together we say shalom. I hope y'all said it. So first things first, if you're watching this video, then unfortunately I was unable to make it. I'm currently at a training for certification in my job, but I did want to say that my sentiments and feelings in this video are just as pure and just as genuine as they would be if I were to give them in person. I do want to make that very clear. This video does not take away, it does not nullify the importance of this situation. And that's on period. Secondly, I want to extend my greatest appreciation and thank yous to everyone who's under the sound of my voice right now. So everyone that's there, thank you for taking the time and just thank you for sharing in the good vibes and appreciation for this monumental moment in William Paterson history. Thank you to everyone who supported throughout this entire process. This process took about 15, a little over a year. I'm not about to do the math real quick right now because my brain is fried right now. It's Friday and it's just, everybody's all over the place. But this process took a little over a year, and it was a year of hard work. It was a year of a lot of back and forth. It was a year of a lot of arguing and answering a lot of whys and why do you need this and why do you need that? Well, now you got your answer. With the way the climate of the campuses and the way the climate of America is, safe spaces are much needed. And now it's time to answer those whys, okay? So thank you to everyone who has supported with tough love and words of encouragement. That was greatly appreciated, because in those moments where you wanted to give up, that's what you needed, that push from your community. And lastly, I want to extend a thank you to the people who didn't really support us, to the people that always gave that pushback, because that propelled us to go harder. You made us want to go harder. You made us believe in ourselves a lot more, because in the face of adversity, what you don't do is you don't turn around, you don't bow down, and you don't sit down. You stand up, you speak out, and you continue to push and fight for what you want, because you don't just let things happen to you and not do anything about it, especially when you make such a commotion, or when you shake the table a little bit. You don't just say something and then let somebody tear you down. No, when you invest time, energy, money, and stock into an establishment, you now have every right to say something when something goes wrong. You now have every right to speak on things that happen that you don't like, that don't make you feel safe, that make you feel uncomfortable. So with that said, I'll close off with this. Don't ever let your voice feel stifled in a place where you are the heartbeat of that establishment. At William Paterson, students of color, we make up the vast majority of people on this campus. Black students, we make up the vast majority of people who go to these events, who make William Paterson seem as lit as it is. We are the walking blood that runs through the veins of this campus. So if something goes wrong that you don't like, don't let one no here and one no there turn you away from finding that third yes that's right around the corner. Don't feel stifled. Don't feel silenced. Don't feel like you need to sit down and be quiet, because I promise you, when you shake a table, somebody's going to get to knocking, okay? When you make enough noise, when you use your voice like we were born to do, something gets done. When we come together and use our collective voice, something gets done. So don't think you're ever by yourself. There's students and faculty that'll always have your back. From when you step foot on this campus till you leave the ends of the earth, somebody will always have your back. Somebody will always be there to give you that push. So don't think you're doing anything by yourself, because I promise you, honey, you have the support. You just got to search for it. And on that note, I'm going to end this. I hope y'all have a great evening, and I hope that there is much, much, much success for both centers. And yeah, have a great evening.
On behalf of Brittany, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium student activist Zhada Stamps.
Hi, everybody. My name is Zhada Stamps. To everyone who has played a part in the establishing of this center, speaking towards the Black Cultural Center, thank you. Without the hard work and dedication of students, administrators, staff, and the community, this place would still only be a topic that flows in and out of conversation sometimes. Being one of the founders of the Black Cultural Center, I can attest to the fact that this has not been a short nor easy road. It required many hours, many meetings, and many layouts. But it is here, and I cannot be any more proud of it and all it will offer and represent to the current and future pioneers. This place is more than just a room that a few Black students yelled for a couple of months. It is more than a Blacks only space. And it is certainly more than just a room with a few computers, a few tables, and some notable Black leaders on the wall. This space represents perseverance, Black pride, and the power within Black students' voices and existence. You will notice a symbol inside the Black Cultural Center that looks like a bird. This bird comes from the Akan tribe in Ghana and is named Sankofa. Sankofa, in exact translation, means it is not taboo to fetch what is at risk of being left behind. This principle is extremely important to this center. Of course, as the center grows and develops, there will be new ideas and processes implemented. As a graduating senior, my biggest fear is that the groundwork will be forgotten and new leaders will disregard the roots of this center. Black students and Black organizations, it's your job not to let that happen. In this center will be housed books and autobiographies regarding the leaders who paved the way for this to even be our reality simply because it was their dream. I urge you to research often and use the lessons that have already come before you to ensure the life of this center. I have this quote for you from Iyanla Vanzant. The quote is, "It's time for you to move, realizing that the thing you are seeking is also seeking you." Again, thank you to all who played a role in the creation of this center, whether small or large. We finally got it, guys, and it's only up from here. Thank you again. Please help me welcome Vice President Miki Cammarata.
Thank you, Zhada. I'm pleased to introduce to you Dr. LaShauna M. Dean. Dr. Dean holds a PhD in counselor education and supervision, an MA in counseling, and a BA in psychology. She currently serves as the director of our clinical mental health counseling program and is an associate professor in the College of Education. Dr. Dean has presented on a variety of topics, including assertive communication strategies, bullying, strategies for respectful workplace communication, managing stress, and post-traumatic stress disorder. In our community, Dr. Dean is particularly known for her presentations and training on microaggressions and diversity and inclusion. Most recently, she provided the university employee diversity training mentioned earlier. Dr. Dean has a particular passion for student development and success and a professional and personal perspective on the importance of spaces like the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and the Black Cultural Center. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dean to the podium to share a few words.
Hey everybody, it's the College Southern Belle getting up here to talk to y'all. So first I just want to thank the president, Miki Cammarata, and our leader, our new leader, Yolany, for inviting me to speak here. And I want to shout out my professional counseling peeps in the back, all the students and faculty who came out to support me. I appreciate y'all. So this is a huge, important social change initiative here on campus, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. For a while, I've heard the word diversity being tossed around as more of a theoretical, conceptual word, when in truth, it's an action word, it's a verb. It's something that should be experienced and lived each day. It should be something that others can see from the outside, and not something that we keep close to ourselves. With that in mind, my hope for the cultural centers is that it will become a living, breathing force for the work. And yes, there is still much work to be done in the area of multicultural competence and diversity. That's something different. Multicultural competence is also a part of diversity, but we'll talk about that later. Students, though, are at the forefront of this change movement because they're really the lifeblood, as was stated earlier, of everything we do at William Paterson. We wouldn't have anything without the students here. This summer, I was given an opportunity to train over 600 employees here on diversity. They trusted me with that huge responsibility, and I gladly accepted it. At the forefront of my mind for that training, I knew it was mandatory, but I didn't want it to be superficial and inactive, just another boring training that people go to and they go back to their office and they don't even care about it. I went into the training with several key elements in mind. Number one, the power of positive thinking. I'm a therapist, right? Our thoughts train the way we feel, and then that serves the way that we behave. So our thinking matters, right? I came in with another element, genuineness, and empathy for anybody's stage of development. We're all at different walks in our development as far as diversity goes. So I brought my cultural identity, my blackness, into that training. You can ask anybody who attended that training, I was definitely my black self. I was uniquely me, and I set to provide a training that was I like to call edutainment, right? It's entertainment, but it's also education, excuse me. We did not sit around and talk about diversity and keep it in our thoughts, right? As a therapist, I'm always desiring to bring it down to the heart level, right? This is the affective level, the feeling level. And that's where change is made, because that stimulates empathy for the unique struggles of anyone with a minority status or who's an underrepresented identity on campus. So I have a few things that I challenge us to do here at Willie P as we continue with these cultural centers. The first one is, let us go into this center with renewed hope and positivity. 2, let us make this center an active space for growth, resources, and movement towards development and change. And above all, and this is the most important one, my therapist in the room will know, let's come from a place of empathy for one another. Let's give each other the benefit of the doubt. Let's hear one another out without judgment. Because when you have empathy, you can always build from that point. You can always start something. But when you have judgment and contempt for one another, no bridges can be built at all. There was a quote, I know we all kind of ended with quotes, that seems to be a theme, but I'm down with that. There was a quote by Linda Thompson, right, that says it best. She said that our uniqueness, our individuality, and our life experience molds us into fascinating beings. I hope that we can embrace that. I pray that we may all challenge ourselves to delve into the deepest resources of our hearts, to cultivate an atmosphere of understanding, acceptance, tolerance, and compassion, because we're all in this thing together. So thank you for having me, and I hope this center is very successful, and I love to be a part of anything that I could be a part of. Thank you.
I want to again acknowledge all the people in the room that have worked so hard to get us to this point. I want to particularly acknowledge and honor the courage and perseverance of our students. I also want to thank President Helldobler for his leadership and express my appreciation for the great work of the Multicultural Center Committee and so many others in our community who support student success, and particularly the creation of the Black Cultural Center and the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. As you heard from the students, getting here required hard work and challenged many of us, myself included, to listen carefully and expand our views of diversity and justice and what our students need to feel welcomed and supported. One of the things I continue to love about doing student affairs work is we are always learning and growing along with our students, and it is never too late for us to make a difference in someone's life. I am proud of the work we have done and committed to making sure that all of our students feel welcomed, affirmed, and supported so that they can be their best selves and make their mark here at William Paterson University and on society. I encourage you to use these centers as spaces for comfort, affirmation, and education, as well as places to come together to formulate agendas and actions that will improve the student experience. I would now like to turn the program over to Yolany Gonell, who joined us just 3 weeks ago and has raised the bar for what hitting the ground running looks like. In just a few weeks, Yolany has begun to transform furnished rooms into the warm and welcoming spaces you are about to see. And more importantly, she has actively sought to meet our students and hear their stories, and to forge the necessary and important relationships and partnerships that will make these centers the vibrant and utilized spaces we want them to be. Yolany will provide instructions regarding the ribbon cutting ceremonies and reception. Thank you, Yolany.
So another round of applause for our speakers, everybody. Just want to make great mention that our alum is here. I know we got a chance to see her video, so you'll connect with her afterwards. Thank you. So without further ado, in a few minutes, we will perform the ceremonial ribbon cutting of the centers. We will start at the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and work our way to the Black Cultural Center. At the conclusion of the ceremony, we invite everyone to leave their mark by decorating a placard that we will use to create custom mosaics and art decoration for our spaces. So before we dismiss this group, those who spoke, please meet us up front and meet us in the Center for Diversity and Inclusion to cut the ribbon. Everyone who's in the space, please mingle, follow us, enjoy the refreshments, and leave your mark. All right, so we'll start at the Center for Diversity and Inclusion and work our way to the Black Cultural Center. Thank you, everyone.
Ready, 1, 2, 3, go.